Hey there, my friend. Have you ever stopped to wonder when someone officially becomes elderly? Maybe you've caught yourself chuckling at the word, thinking, that's not me, I'm just hitting my stride. Or maybe you've heard someone toss it around and wondered what it even means in your world, your family, your town, your life. Here's the funny thing. Nobody hands you a rule book saying, at this age, you're elderly now. But we all feel the shift somewhere along the way. And after 60, it's worth asking. Not because of some label, but because how we see it shapes how we live it. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially since we're in this together, figuring out what these years mean and how to make them amazing. Where I come from, elderly isn't just a number, it's a mix of stories, traditions, and little moments that tell us who we are as we age. I've talked to folks from all walks of life, and what I've found is eye-opening. Cultural quirks and personal twists that flip the script on what old looks like. We're going to dig into this together, pulling from real experiences to uncover when elderly kicks in and how we can embrace it with a grin. Let's start with a couple of angles that really got me thinking. First off, in a lot of cultures, like mine, it's not about the candles on your cake, it's about what you're doing with your days. I grew up hearing my grandma say, you're only old when you stop moving, and she'd be out weeding her garden at 85, proving her point. Where I'm from, elderly doesn't hit until you decide you're done. Done dancing at weddings, done tinkering in the shed, done laughing with the grandkids. It's less about hitting 70 or 80 and more about whether you're still in the game. That's freeing, isn't it? It means you're not elderly until you say so. And even then, it's just a word, not a sentence. My friend Tony, who's 72, lives this out every day. Everyone in the neighborhood figured he'd retire to his recliner after his birthday, but he's still fixing bikes for the kids down the street, grease on his hands and a twinkle in his eye. Elderly, he laughed when I asked him. Not while I've got tools and a good story. You can take that to heart. Today, do something that keeps you in motion. Fix that squeaky door, water a plant, or chase the dog around the yard. You're not elderly while you're living, and that's a choice you get to make. Another thing that shapes this in my culture is how people treat you and how you let them. I've noticed folks start calling you elderly when they pat your hand and say, oh, let me get that for you, like you're suddenly fragile. It's sweet, sure, but it can creep up fast. Suddenly you're the nice old lady at the store, even if you're still hauling your own groceries. Where I'm from, though, you're not elderly until you lean into that, until you stop pushing back and start letting everyone else define you. It's like a quiet handover, but you don't have to sign the papers. My Aunt Rose, who's 77, taught me this without a word. She'd get those pitying looks when her knees slowed her down, but she'd wave off the help, grab her cart, and keep shopping. I'm not done yet, she'd say with a wink, and folks stopped treating her like she was. You can do that. Next time someone tries to elderly you, smile and keep going. Carry your bag, open your jar, tell them you've got it. You decide when that label sticks, and it's empowering to hold the line. There's so much more to this question of elderly that's worth exploring, and I'm loving unpacking it with you. We're just scratching the surface of how our cultures and our choices paint this picture, and it's too good to stop now. All right, my friend, let's keep this conversation rolling. You've already got a couple of gems from part one, staying active to define your own age and pushing back when others try to slap elderly on you. Now we're diving into a few more layers of when people are considered elderly in our cultures, and it's all about what we bring to the table after 60. This is like swapping stories over a warm slice of pie, and I'm sharing straight from the heart because I know you'll see yourself in this. So let's pick up the thread and keep going. One thing that stands out in my culture is how much wisdom shifts the elderly line. Where I'm from, you're not just old because the calendar says so. You're elderly when folks start looking to you for answers, when your life's lessons turn you into the go-to person for advice. It's not about creaky knees or gray hair. It's about the weight of what you know. After 60, we've seen enough. Raised kids, weathered storms, fixed more than a few messes. And that makes us the keepers of something special. You're not elderly until you're the wise one in the room, and even then, it's a badge of honor, not a burden. My Uncle Pete, who's 74, embodies this perfectly. He's got a limp from an old injury, but when the family's stumped, whether it's a leaky pipe or a kid's tantrum, they call him. He'll sit there, coffee in hand, and say, "Here's what I'd do," and it's gold every time. "Elderly," he snorted once. "I'm just getting started teaching these youngsters." You can lean into that. Today, share a bit of your know-how. Help a neighbor with a trick you've learned, or tell a grandkid how you got through a tough day. You're not old, you're the wisdom they need, and that keeps you young. Now let's talk about something else that moves the needle: how you carry yourself. In my culture, elderly doesn't stick until you start acting like the world's passed you by. Slumping in your chair, talking about the good old days like today's got nothing left. It's not about hiding wrinkles or pretending you're 40. It's about holding your head up, staying curious, and showing life you're still in it. After 60, we've got every right to strut a little. Nobody's counting the years if you're still lighting up the room with your spark. Take my friend Marge, for instance. She's 70 and walks into the community center like she owns it. Bright scarf, big smile, asking about everyone's day. Folks don't call her elderly. They call her that firecracker Marge. She told me, "I'm not sitting around waiting to get old. I've got too much to see." You can do that. Today, throw on something you love, stand tall, and chat up the cashier like it's your stage. You're not elderly while you've got that glow, and it's yours to keep shining. And here's another piece that ties into this. Community roles can stretch that elderly label way out. Where I'm from, you're not seen as old if you're still pitching in, baking for the church sale, tending the park flowers, or just being the one who remembers everyone's name. After 60, we've got skills and time to share, and in my culture, that keeps you vital, not elderly. It's not about running the show. It's about staying part of it, adding your flavor to the mix, and letting folks see you're still here. My cousin Lila, who's 76, lives this every weekend. She's got arthritis, but she's at the farmer's market, handing out her famous jam and swapping stories. "They'd have to drag me away," she laughs, and nobody dares call her old. They call her the jam lady. You don't need to do much. Next time you're out, lend a hand or a smile. Drop off a cookie, water a friend's plant, stay in the loop. You're not elderly while you're still giving, and that's a gift that keeps on giving back. We're uncovering some real treasures here about what elderly means, aren't we? There's more to this cultural puzzle that's too good to miss, and I'm loving exploring it with you. All right, my friend, we're wrapping this up together, and I'm thrilled you're still here with me. We've already explored some rich ideas about when elderly kicks in: staying active, pushing back on labels, sharing wisdom, carrying yourself with spark, and pitching into the community. Now let's finish strong with the final pieces that show how culture and our own choices define the stage, and how we can make it shine after 60. This is like a warm chat over a sunset, and I'm talking right to you because you've got the power to shape this. Let's dive in and bring it home. One thing that really colors when someone's elderly in my culture is how you embrace change, or don't. Where I'm from, you're not old until you dig your heels in, refusing to budge from how it's always been. It's not about chasing every new gadget or trend. It's about staying open, rolling with the punches, and finding joy in the shifts. After 60, life keeps moving. Grandkids grow up, towns change, even the weather throws curveballs. And in my world, you're not elderly while you're still bending with it, still finding something to smile about in the new. My pal Norma, who's 73, showed me this in spades. She grumbled when her favorite diner closed, swearing she'd never eat anywhere else. But one day she tried the new cafe, struck up a chat with the owner, and now she's got a new spot and a new friend. "I'm not too old to switch it up," she said, sipping her coffee like a queen. You can do that. Today, try one small change. Taste a dish you've skipped, walk a different street, or ask a kid how their game works. You're not elderly while you're still growing, and that keeps life fresh. Now here's another angle nobody talks about. Celebrating your own milestones keeps elderly at bay. In my culture, you're not old if you're still marking your moments. Big wins like a birthday or little ones like planting a flower that finally blooms. It's not about throwing parties. It's about noticing you're still here, still adding to your story. After 60, we've got every right to cheer ourselves on. And where I'm from, that zest pushes elderly way down the road. It's for folks who've stopped counting the good stuff. Take my cousin Ed, for instance. He's 71 and used to let his birthday slide, saying, just another day. Then he started treating himself, a slice of cake, a call to his sister, and last year he built a birdhouse to mark the occasion. I'm still making things happen, he grinned, hammer in hand. You don't need much. Tonight, toast yourself for something simple. Raise a glass to fixing that lamp or just getting through the week. You're not elderly while you're celebrating, and it's a spark worth keeping. And here's the final piece that ties it all together. Peace with yourself decides it all. In my culture, elderly settles in when you stop liking who you see in the mirror, when the years feel like a weight instead of a prize. But after 60, if you can look back with a nod, maybe a laugh, and say, I've done all right, you're not there yet. It's about owning your journey, scars, triumphs, and all, and resting easy in your own skin. That's not old. That's golden, and it's what keeps you glowing. My friend Clara, who's 78, lived this out after a rough patch. She'd beat herself up over old regrets, missed chances, sharp words, until one day she sat down, wrote them out, and said, that's enough. Now she looks at her reflection and smiles. You're still here, girl. It's so powerful. Today, take a moment to be kind to yourself. Pat your own back for raising that family, or just sticking around. You're not elderly while you've got that peace, and it's yours to hold tight. So there we are, my friend. You've got the full picture now. Moving your way, defining yourself, sharing wisdom, shining bright, staying in the game, bending with change, celebrating your wins, and finding peace. This isn't about some stiff, elderly label. It's about living your culture, your life, your way, and making these years the best yet. I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment with what elderly means where you're from, or just say hi so I know you're out there. If this rings true, tap that like button and subscribe. I'm here to keep cheering you on. You're not old. You're you, and that's a beautiful thing. Here's to thriving, right where we stand.